Hey everyone and welcome back. Now in today's video we'll be discussing about the feature of redundancy zones. Now redundancy zone is a Consul autopilot feature that makes it possible to run one voter and any number of non-voters in each defined zone. So this can be better explained with this diagram. So let's assume that you are implementing Consul in AWS. So what you'll typically do is if you have 3 servers within your cluster, you will be moving each server in a specific availability zone. You will not put all of those servers in a single availability zone. So then what will happen is that if that availability zone goes down, then all of your servers will go down as well. So here you have 3 availability zones, or maybe you can consider it as a 3 separate data centers. And in each data center, you have a Consul server that is running, and the 3 server forms together to be part of a cluster. Now these 3 servers are also considered as a voter primarily because they play a role into forming a quorum. So now with the help of redundancy zones, what you will do is you will go ahead and you can create few more servers as a backup for the primary servers in the availability zone. So for the availability zone called as AZ1, you will have a Consul 04. For the AZ2, you have Consul 05, AZ3, Consul 06, and these will act as a backup for the primary servers. Now do note that the data gets replicated to these servers as well, and these servers are acting as a non-voter, so they do not participate in quorum directly. So let's look into the use case. So if only the voter is lost in the availability zone, the autopilot will promote non-voter to voter automatically, putting the hot standby server into service quickly. So let's assume that due to some reason the Consul 02 server went down. So now what autopilot will do is it will go ahead and promote this Consul 05. So now if you see, Consul 05 is part of the cluster and the Consul 02 is still down. So this is what autopilot allows us to do. So let's assume that in the middle of the night, one of the server within your cluster went down. So this is risky primarily because you only have 2 servers that are running, and this can also impact a quorum. So immediately autopilot will automatically add the Consul 05 and things work perfectly well. You do not really have to wake in the middle of the night. So that is the basic idea. So let's have a quick demo to understand on how exactly this might look like. Now within the CLI, let's go ahead and do a Consul members here. And as expected, you see that there are 6 instances of Consul that are running. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Now similar to the exact diagram that we were discussing here, we have the 01, 02 and 03 in a demo that are acting as a voters. 04, 05 and 06 are acting as a non-voters. So when you run the command of Consul operator raft list peers, you should see that there are 3 voters. So 1 and 3 are acting as a voter and 02 is acting as a voter. So 1, 2 and 3 are acting as a voter. 06, 04, so here you see voter is false for 06, for 04 as well and 05 as well. That's great. So we have this setup up and running. So now let's go ahead and implement the use case for our demo where our Consul 02 goes down, and if things are working as expected for our autopilot, the autopilot should automatically go ahead and bring the Consul 05 under the quorum. So the voter for Consul 05 should be up. So let me also show you. So I have 6 instances of Consul running. So you have Consul 01, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and all are running into the server mode from the CLI itself. So now within the Consul 02, let me go ahead and do a Control C. So the Consul 02 has stopped working. So let me go ahead and run the operator raft list commands yet again. And now you see what happened, the Consul 05, it has turned into voter. So this is acting as part of the cluster right now. That's great. So in the middle of the night, even if one of the server goes down, autopilot can automatically bring up the backup server that is running. So this not only applies to Consul 02, it also applies for the other instances as well. Now, before we conclude, one important point that we should know, that is non-voting servers will still receive the data from the cluster replication. However, they do not take part in the quorum election process. This is one thing that you should know. Great. So I hope at a high level overview you understood the basics of fault tolerance with the feature of redundancy in Consul Enterprise.